Hi, Miss Nandini.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming. It's really an honor to be able to chat with you. First of all, congratulations because you're invited to the academy. I think
I can't believe it.
when did you come to know about that?
The morning it happened, when you found out about it.
You've given India one of some of their best talents. You've given them Alia Bhatt, Siddhant Chaturvedi recently. You've casted for the best works that Indian cinema has produced, be it Dil Dhadakne Do, Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, Ye Jawani Hai Diwani, uh, some international works too, Life of Pi, Victoria and Abdul, and the recent one with Meera Nair, A Suitable Boy. So
Yeah.
there's so much work that you've done. It's amazing. Do you ever just look back and oh my god, this is what
You
I've
know
done?
what? It's so collaborative, and the director is so important in this journey that most of the time I don't realize how fabulous the job is till I see the film, and I'm like, wow.
Right.
I think if you do something long enough, you'll end up working with a bunch of really cool people, and that's where
Right.
it's at.
Your company, the way you treat actors, it's just so amazing. Y'all are so warm. Like you make them feel very special. You want the best out of them.
I
So
think I have to give due credit to Karan Mali there because he's very gentle with actors. He's an actor, he knows how tough it is. My journey, I don't think I was so gentle in the beginning. I'm sure there are many disgruntled actors along the way from when I started because when I started, I used to do everything, but except the phone calls with like camera, cues, and I was always very flustered. So I often think back on those early days, and it's only over years that I realized how important it is to maintain a certain,
right,
calmness
right,
in tests.
right. So your
Yeah,
first film that you worked on was Thakshak, right?
as an AD.
As an AD, and then after
Yeah,
that, as a casting director was Lakshya.
casting director was Lakshya. Yeah.
So how did all of that happen?
Most people start off as ADs and you're trying to figure out what you want to do, and everyone wants to direct in the beginning till you realize how tough it is and how together you need to be to put together a project and make a film and tell a story, So I started as an AD because I studied in Sapphire's in Bombay. And we did a course called social communications and media,
Right.
and that they gave us an internship, and I chose a film internship, so I landed up working with Govind Hilani, which was
Right. Thakshak.
damn nice. He was making Takshak, yeah. But I didn't really know what I was doing then.
Okay.
And subsequently, I worked on KABIKU also as an AD, but I worked a lot with Sharmishta Roy I was an art AD. You become assigned to a department. And Sharmishta Roy is quite an epic production designer. She's done like some wonderful films, and Kabhi was Karan's magnum opus, Kejo's magnum opus.
You were in the art
Second
department.
film. No, I was an AD, but I was an art AD. So I had to work very closely with Sharmishta Roy.
Right.
And she, I think, really trained me very well. So after that, I could work anywhere and do anything. I did a lot of art department actually because even though I was an AD, I ended up learning a lot about how to work in the art department, but I also learned how to work. I think before that, I was a happy 20 something with no real responsibilities. So that was really good. And I actually went to Lux to join as an art assistant. And I met Zoya Akhtar, who was the EP then, and on the film. And we chatted a bit, and she suggested I join the casting department. Again, it was more like a casting AD, though they were very kind and gave me the credit because I worked, like I was so raw, I didn't know anything. And they were really amazing and guided me through the process.
So after Laksh, you again did a casting job, or
Slowly. It's not like I had one immediately. Then I did Dawn again with Excel, Luck by Chance, and then Rock On. And in between, I did a film called Bara Ana.
but you were casting in all these films.
Yeah, but because it was very few and far in between, I also AD'd, I also did art department. I worked on Born Supremacy in the art department. That was a lot of fun. I worked on Darjeeling Limited as a set decorator. That was a lot of fun because that was the work I was getting. And I mean, any foreign film is like very interesting to work on. You see a
Right.
very different perspective and mise en scène and everything.
So, I really want to understand the entire process of casting,
Mhm.
from when a director gives you a script to, the end product. What exactly is your job when you get a script, and how does it all work out?
First, we read it and then do a breakdown and see who the characters are. They're primary and secondary characters. But for us, every speaking role is very important because they can make or break a scene. Yeah. And then sit with the director, discuss what works, who they're thinking of, bandy a bit, like, play a little, figure out what the voice and the tone of the story is. And then we start the audition process. Many actors don't need to audition, they just, their body of work. So then it's just about getting in touch with them, hooking up meetings. So yeah, so that's the basic process, and it takes very long. It's not like we're sitting there and we're like, so and so. Sometimes, but very rarely you think of someone and it just falls into place. But most often, uh, you know, actors are busy, may or may not like the role, they may not like the budget. There are many, many, many hurdles before someone finally does the role on
Right.
screen. Yeah.
So the
So it's
big
always a process.
the
Yeah.
A-list actors don't have to audition, is it? Okay.
Yeah. You can watch their old previous. Most of the time, an A-lister comes on board and the film gets greenlit. So when you know that Ranveer and Alia are doing Gully Boy,
Right.
then the film is announced, and then we start working on everyone.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Right. Does your work end in pre-production, or do you even have to go on set at times?
I don't need to go on set.
Okay, you never have to go on set.
No. In fact, I hate going on set because I have no work, and I feel like I'm just sitting there having coffee and watching everyone. And I used to be on set, so I know how hectic it is, and I feel really awkward.
So how did you come up with your company? And it was quite recently.
Purely for tax purposes. The name of my company is the first two letters of my parents' names and my brother's name. So
Kabi.
it's, yeah,
Oh,
Karan, Billy, and Cookie. It was purely because as one keeps working, you need to get your business in order. So I
correct.
had to get a. So my dad helped me open a company, and then when Karan and I became partners, now it's really become like a proper company. I think we had an office and
Yeah, yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Actually, my next question was going to be, how did the name Kabiku come up? Because I was like, is it taken from Kabuki?
I
But
know everyone gets confused, but I just couldn't think of anything, and then it felt so special to have their names.
you've been casting since 2001, 2?
2003, I think. Yeah,
2003.
but working since two. Yeah.
So with the advancements in technology, right? How has
Hmm.
the casting sort of changed? Has anything changed in the process?
Massively. Yeah, massively because of the internet,
Yeah,
and now we can cast from anywhere and connect with actors. And we're still working in lockdown, which wouldn't have been able to happen 10 years ago. We would have just been shutting shop and waiting for things to open up.
so how did you audition back then? I mean, what was the casting process back then?
The process has remained the same in the sense that it's creative and we get actors to read scenes and we shoot the scenes, or now we can ask them to shoot the scene and we can direct them online like this.
Yeah,
It's easier to do it face to face though. It's much nicer because it's a human process, but we can also connect with people. I mean, now everyone has so much work, everyone's traveling, so nobody's limited because we can get in touch with them all over. And you know the world has become a smaller place, so that is the key thing in casting.
What did you learn on Luck by Chance? When you say you learned a lot.
Zoya uses a lot of the people in her life in casting. So we used a lot of friends acted in the film. And it was not just my friend is acting and they're going to come and do a bad job. They were like proper roles. And, it really opened my mind that you can actually look anywhere for people, It doesn't have to be very specifically for those who come with portfolios and
Right. So which film was the most challenging to cast? I know it's a very
all are challenging. No. Nothing is easy. You start a film and you feel it's just like this one we'll manage because we've been doing it for so long. But every film has there's always these two characters that become the trick characters that like this.
Which were the trick characters in Gully Boy?
Good question actually.
MC
Was
Shade.
Gully Boy? No. And MC Shade was a challenging casting, but it happened very smoothly because it's a brilliant role. There was a role. Oh yeah, his father, who we landed up casting someone who I absolutely adored in the role, but it went through there was some issue or the other,
What's your biggest pet peeve in an audition room?
I mean, it's really tough. So I don't have any pet peeves anymore, but I used to get very irritated if people forgot their lines. But I know how hard it is, so I'm going to step back and say, I know how hard it is. I get it,
You never wanted to get into acting? Never?
No. I'm a very bad actor.
When you get a project, do you always know exactly what you're looking for? Or
absolutely not. It's such a hit and miss in the beginning. Sometimes one is very bang on. If it's things that I'm familiar with, then it's very bang on. Yeah, here he is. But sometimes it's very I'm totally confused.
I mean, how torturous is casting? I mean, how many emails, messages are you getting every day?
Yeah, I've kind of become zen about it. But there was a point in the middle I used to be very overwhelmed. And when it's really difficult is during festivals because everyone wants to wish you Happy Diwali, Happy Birthday, Happy Merry Christmas, Happy Holi, Happy Easter, Happy Friendships Day. Wait, I've got some crazy ones. Happy Mubarak, Janamashtami. I'm it's all about it. Every festival. Name a festival, I get 100 messages. So then so I have, let me just tell you, my WhatsApp is like an abomination. I have so many messages. Okay, now because of lockdown is reduced. So it's only 242 unopened messages on my WhatsApp. But I feel so worried that some fabulous actors stuck in those 242 because I got wished for some festival.
Right. So suppose if someone wants to start a casting company, right?
Yeah.
How do they go about it? How do they start?
Good question. Let me think about it. It's changed now. So I don't feel I'd be giving, I'm sounding like a dinosaur, but I feel it's changed now. So I feel my advice wouldn't resonate with many people because when I started, it was very limited. So you just had to understand who the bank of actors were and what work everyone was doing and watch a lot of theater, which I did anyway before I started working in casting. It's always, my parents have been taking me for plays since I was a kid. So, I was very clued in. But now I think people access good performances through so many mediums, half of which I don't even know, which is why I feel like a dinosaur that I don't know what the right thing to say is today to someone who's now TikTok is banned, but there's so many platforms that you can see so many good performers. And then if you also parallelly watch live theater, and go to Prithvi and actually watch a bunch of good plays a month and keep up with good cinema and not just Bollywood top-notch successful films, but also I think a lot of good cinema in our country. Now they're all getting a voice on, say Netflix. Netflix is just buying them. I'm so amazed to see some of the films because known of them, but I haven't had a chance to see them because there's been nowhere to watch them really, you know. So if you keep abreast of that, then you can, because now it's not difficult to get in touch with people. Everyone has a mobile phone. I mean, I'm talking about basics. People didn't have mobiles when I started casting. So, you know, to contact people, you had to call them on their landlines. And everyone had got email IDs, but people had pagers, and people had email IDs, but some of them were BSNL.net and didn't really work. And you know what I mean? It's like, so all that is gone. It's now so smooth. You can message someone on Instagram and get them to read for something.
It must have been very difficult back then.
But we didn't know any better. So we didn't know any better. So it was just the way one was. When landlines were the norm for everyone.
Lakshya, you had to like call up each and every person.
Yeah, but you know, the files were there. Excel had these files with photographs and details. So it was just a question of, but often we couldn't get in touch with people because their phones didn't exist. But like somehow one would manage, and you know.
So only with pictures you all would call the person to audition. Like there wasn't.
Those files must still be in Excel somewhere. They must be in some cupboard somewhere. I hope they haven't thrown them away. They were fantastic because it had name, date of birth, work, educational qualifications, work experience, all written out by hand and a photograph attached.
Wow.
So, yeah. In an alphabetical order. I remember putting them in alphabetical order. So, you know what I mean? It's like...
yeah.
So I don't know what advice to give to someone now because everyone's so tech savvy, and
I'm so glad that I got to interview you today.
You're most welcome. I thought you asked very interesting and incisive questions, and I hope I was able to answer some of them.
I really learned a lot. So thank you.
Okay.